What's up guys? So I'm at home right now, and full disclaimer, it is a disaster in here. I'm in my bedroom right now. Please ignore the mess on my bed and my open exposed closet for the world to see, but this is where today's video is going to take place. Because I've just put together a gaming and work setup here in my bedroom. It's the first time I've actually had a setup in my room in like 7 years, so I'm pretty excited about it. Sure, I've always had a setup in an adjacent room nearby with a gaming desktop and all that, but something hits different about having the comfort and convenience of a setup mere feet away from your bed. The setup is kind of interesting too, because I'm not using a gaming desktop, I'm actually using a laptop for everything. So I figured this would be a way to share some ideas with you guys, for those of you who are looking for a similar solution, especially if you don't have a gaming desktop. Also, I know a lot of you guys are interested in what kind of tech that I use in my personal life, so I guess this video serves both of those purposes. Also, sorry if it sounds like I'm talking with a lisp. I kind of am, because I'm wearing my Invisalign retainers right now, my aligners. It's gross, I know, but it also makes it really hard to talk, so sorry about that in advance.
Before we continue, thanks to Mailgun for sponsoring today's video. Mailgun is the leading email delivery service for growing businesses. Reach real customers at scale with a data-driven strategy using the platform's smart development teams backed by the platform's ease of use, world-class support, and powerful APIs. You can send and track transactional and marketing messages, prevent fake signups, and remove invalid email addresses from your list quickly. Their team of mail experts can also boost your email deliverability while driving higher conversion rates. Through its powerful email API and intuitive email marketing solutions, Mailgun controls the entire email lifecycle from pre-development through delivery of over 240 billion emails a year for companies like DHL, Wikipedia, Toast, Lyft, and Microsoft, making complex communication problems a thing of the past. They even go so far as to find the best send time for every individual on your list at the time they're most likely to engage. Building connected experiences has never been easier, so if you want to grow your business the smart and easy way, click the link in the description below or go to mailgun.com/bitwit to start sending with Mailgun today. Thanks again to Mailgun for sponsoring this one. Now back to the main video.
Let's talk about the laptop first, shall we? So this is the Lenovo Legion 7. It's been my daily driver for quite some time now. I use it exclusively for work though, or I have been, mainly because there's no point in gaming on it when I have a perfectly good gaming desktop in the room nearby, and anytime I'm out and about, I don't really game because I'm usually preoccupied with whatever it is I'm doing outside of the house. So it seems like a waste of perfectly good hardware because the thing's actually a very capable gaming laptop. It has a Core i7-11800H, 8-core 16-thread processor, 32 gigs of DDR4, and an RTX 3080 with Max-Q. I haven't been using it to its full potential, and I've been feeling kind of bad and guilty about that for a while, and this setup pretty much fixes that. For me, priority number one was to build a dockable setup that offered a gaming experience that was indistinguishable from gaming on a desktop. But a little bit more about the laptop. I'll talk about the screen mainly because I'm using it as a secondary display. So it's a 16-inch screen, 2560 by 1600, so it's got a 16:10 aspect ratio, which is pretty unique for most panels these days, let alone gaming laptops. I like the additional vertical space that it offers there. It also has a 165 Hz refresh rate, and it supports G-Sync. I have it sitting on a laptop stand that I got on Amazon from Boyada, just some cheap brand. It wasn't too expensive, but it actually works really well. It's heavy and sturdy. It doesn't really wobble. Okay, it wobbles just a tiny bit, but that's only because it's slightly hanging off the edge of my mouse pad. If it was just on a completely flat surface on the desk, it's rock solid. And the arms are really sturdy. They don't budge, doesn't like lower over time or anything like that. Really solid stand. I'll put links to everything in the description as well in case you're interested. You can see I've also got my Xbox 360 gamepad just hiding under there, which kind of just blends in. Black on black, you probably didn't even see it at first. So I like the fact that it's kind of invisible, but I can just reach for it at a moment's notice whenever I need it. And the laptop stand also obviously elevates the laptop for better cooling since there's ventilation and fans at the bottom, and it also brings it level with the display. The monitor I've connected to the laptop is the Pixio PX275C Prime. It's 27 inches, 2560 by 1440, 3 millisecond response time, 100 Hertz, and has FreeSync and is G-Sync compatible. It's actually a really well-spec'd monitor for this laptop. Obviously, I have plenty of other panels that have higher refresh rates, higher resolution, but I think the specs on this panel are really well fit for this laptop. Obviously, the RTX 3080 with Max-Q is pretty much the fastest GPU you can find in a laptop right now, but it still pales in comparison performance-wise to a full-fat desktop RTX 3080. So most of the games that I'm playing right now, apart from Valorant, which is like the only esports title I really dabble in, I'm getting around 60 to 90 FPS. That's in games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Halo Infinite, at least when I'm playing at 1440p. To try to drive a 4K display with this GPU, just it wouldn't work out. I wouldn't recommend it. So 1440p seems like the sweet spot, and the frame rates I'm averaging in the titles I play right now fall right in line with this monitor's G-Sync refresh rate, or FreeSync and G-Sync compatible refresh rate range, which is 48 to 100 Hertz. Another unique feature about this monitor that works perfectly for this setup is that it has a USB Type-C port on it that supports DisplayPort Alt mode, which means it can carry a DisplayPort signal. And that means I'm actually getting full G-Sync support on this display from the laptop. And that's all happening over a single USB Type-C cable. You can see right here that Thunderbolt icon. The laptop supports Thunderbolt 3, and this is actually the only laptop I've ever seen, or at least put my hands on, that has 3 USB Type-C ports, one on the back and one on either side. There's actually no USB Type-A ports on either side of the laptop, which I find kind of annoying. It doesn't really bother me for this setup in particular, but when I'm using it on the go and stuff, I'm like, why are all the USB Type-A ports on the back? It's because they're all C's now. They're all C's, 3 C's. It's insane. But anyway, the fact that I'm getting G-Sync on this display with 100 Hertz and the color reproduction is actually very decent, especially for the price of this display, which I think is like, what, $320, somewhere in the low 300s. Color gamut is like 122% sRGB and 91% DCI-P3. All those really combine to make a gaming experience that, again, is imperceptible. I cannot tell that I'm gaming on a laptop. It just feels like I'm gaming on a desktop. The only thing that gives it away is the fan noise of the laptop, which isn't even that bad, to be honest. And honestly, when I'm wearing the headset, it just completely goes away anyway. The other thing about the USB-C port on this monitor is that it supports 65-watt charging. So it doesn't really do me much good because I'm gaming on this laptop, which comes with a 300-watt power brick. But if I'm using like a lower powered laptop like this Lenovo ThinkPad, hi kitty, say hi, you're boring. If I'm using this like Lenovo ThinkPad, or, you know, those of you who use like MacBook Airs or whatever, MacBooks in general, you can pretty much just charge this with that USB-C port. So you don't even need a power adapter, which just makes the whole dockable setup that much more convenient and awesome, especially for those of you who are like working from home and not necessarily gaming on your setups. We also have an HDMI port on this monitor to which I've connected my Nintendo Switch. I haven't used my Switch in a really long time, but I started using it again for Pokemon Arceus. I've been diving into that rabbit hole recently, really been enjoying the game, and it's super nice to just be able to have a place to play it instead of having to go out to the living room every time and game on the big screen TV, which I don't always feel like doing. Sometimes I want something that's just more, you know, at a desk. I think I like playing games at a desk much more than on a couch and things like that. But for audio on the Switch, I'll either use the built-in speakers of the monitor, which aren't that great, as you might expect, or I'll use my AirPods, which I've connected via Bluetooth to the Switch as well. One thing about the monitor stand, it does come with a really nice stand. Features pan, swivel, and tilt, can also be rotated 90 degrees. It's completely toolless, very sturdy. It's a quality stand, but because this desk is so compact, I wanted to save as much space on the desk as possible, so I did get a third-party arm, and I think it's from Huanuo, some Chinese brand, got on Amazon for like 40, 50 bucks, something like that. It's got a gas spring. Gas spring, it's pretty beefy, and it saves so much room on the desk and also allows me to just position the monitor perfectly right next to the laptop so that they're both level with each other. My keyboard is the Keychron K4. You guys recommended this to me on Twitter. I asked you guys for recommendations for a good wireless mechanical keyboard. Keychron kept popping up time and again, so I finally pulled the trigger. I actually accidentally purchased the wrong one initially. Where the heck is the keyboard? I originally purchased this earlier this week, which is also a K4, but it's only white LED, not RGB. And I got the Gateron blue switches, which I hate. They're too clicky, too loud. So I'm gonna return that, and instead I traded it in for one with Gateron red switches, which feel and sound a lot nicer, in my opinion. And also RGB lighting, duh. This is actually a Bluetooth or wired keyboard. You can use it in either mode. Right now it's in wired mode. What I like about that is that it can clean up cable management in a pinch. If I ever just want a super clean environment, I can take this out. I also put a little cable management tie back here so my cable doesn't fall down. And obviously the keyboard can still work wirelessly. And then I can use that cable to charge other devices like USB-C devices like my headset, for example, without losing functionality of the keyboard. The other thing I really like about this keyboard is that it's so compact that you almost wouldn't notice it has a full 10-key number pad. It's really important to me. I love number pads. I use them all the time. As much as I love my custom-built GMMK Pros, I still miss out on that numpad experience. So it's nice that I have that, but still retain a very compact form factor with this keyboard. I kind of get to have my cake and eat it too. The mouse is the Logitech G502 Lightspeed. It's a wireless mouse. This is only maybe, what, 2 or 3 years old now, this wireless version, but the original G502 came out like almost a decade ago, I want to say. It's been around forever. It's a legendary mouse, and the shape of it hasn't really changed over the years. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And the shape of this thing is just so nice. It's very ergonomic. Obviously, everything's subjective, but I think it fits my hand perfectly. I love the feel of the switches. There's a lot of buttons, programmable buttons, but without feeling overwhelming and obnoxious. The optical sensor is fantastic, and there's imperceptible latency. This thing is light speed. I mean, it's aptly named. It is so fast, I don't notice anything. It feels like I'm gaming with a wired mouse. Then it also has a tunable weight system, which I think I've put an additional 8 grams of weight in there. I know all of you super lightweight mouse people are dying inside, but I'm still old school, kind of a boomer when it comes to my mice. I like them with a little bit of heft still. I also have my BITWIT mouse pad. This is the BITWIT Ensemble 1 mouse pad in Stealth. This is a Stealth 2.0 model. At first I thought it was gonna be too big for this desk, but I actually love the way it fits. I think it does a good job of covering a lot of the surface of the desk to protect it. It also gives plenty of tracking area for the mouse and room for the keyboard without them feeling cramped, and it just looks fantastic, obviously. It has a microfiber material on the top, which also has a dye sublimation. Dye sublimation printing, which just seeps into the actual material as opposed to cheaper printing methods, which will leave just a slight residue of ink on top of the pad, and in worst case scenarios, that can actually affect your tracking accuracy. So very good tracking on this pad as well. It also has a non-slip rubber back on the bottom, stitched edges, 3 millimeters thick. These are in stock right now on BITWIT.TECH in case you guys are interested. Oh, I forgot to mention that I also have a wireless Qi charger for my phone from BITWIT.TECH. I've actually had this for a couple years, so this is nothing new. But this is, well, I'll tell you exactly how that's all wired up and stuff in just a bit. Headset, I have a Corsair HS80 RGB wireless. This is my first time using this headset, and I gotta say I like it a lot. In my opinion, this is more comfortable than the Virtuoso XT RGB wireless, which is a much more expensive headset from Corsair and one that I use at the studio. Ear cups are fantastic. I think they're memory foam. Doesn't actually say, but it feels like memory foam. Very nice fabric material. The headband is comfortable. Flip down omnidirectional microphone, and I love the button placement. It's very simple. It's just a power button and a volume wheel. And I love the fact that it's a power button and not a switch. The Virtuoso has a switch on it that's kind of tiny. I gotta like use my fingernail to find it and flick it on. This is just a big ass button so I can turn it on and off very easily without looking. It's also using Corsair's Slipstream wireless technology and has Dolby Atmos and all that good stuff. The desk, let's talk about the desk itself. So I love this desk. Another cheap product that I bought on Amazon for 60, 70 bucks. You can see the cable management's really good, except when I'm not using the keyboard cable, the cable does droop there, but it's bothering me. It's bothering me. Much better. Much better. You can actually get pretty low before you start seeing cable. Here's a look at cat level. We'll talk more about what's going on underneath the desk in just a sec, but this is a 47-inch wide table. You can buy it in a variety of different sizes. 47 inches seem like the perfect fit for this corner of my room. It leaves enough margins on the sides for accessing that side of the bed or my closet, but it also fits all of the hardware comfortably. You can choose from several different colors and finishes as well, but I just opted for brown, sort of like fake wood grain, and the material's actually held up. Like, this finish has held up remarkably well in the 6 months that Ian's been using it, and he uses it fairly regularly. Oh, I should mention, I stole this desk from Ian. Well, I bought the desk for Ian, put it in his room, and then I recently just took it out and used it for my setup. But it's okay, I bought him a new one. He's fine. He was a little confused at first when he came home. He was like, where did my desk go? I was like, oh, I stole it. But anyway, the point is that he's been using it for half a year and it still looks like it's brand new. Obviously, the mouse pad helps. He was using a similar size mouse pad, so that obviously helps, but even the parts that aren't protected have been holding up very nicely, which I was not expecting for a $70 desk on Amazon. We also have a storage pouch that can be mounted to either side of the desk. This is where I keep the power brick for my laptop, because it's a big ass honking 300 watt brick. This thing's massive. It's so chunky. So I just hide that in there with some excess cabling from the power strip that's underneath the desk, as well as my gamepad for my Nintendo Switch. The desk also has a hook for a headset or whatever you want to hang on here, which can also be mounted to either side. Let's take a look at what's going on underneath here. And for this, I'm probably gonna have to get on my back and turn on my light. Okay. For starters, I've got a couple cable management channels. There's 1 and 2, tucks everything nicely away. And then we also have a power strip with, I think, 6 outlets, I should say, and then 4 USB Type A ports. I've got my wireless Qi charger connected to one, and then a micro USB cable connected to another that you can see terminates right here with another cable tie behind the desk so it doesn't fall down, but I can pull it up in a pinch if I want to start charging my my wireless mouse. Right next to the power strip, I mounted a StarTech 7-port USB hub. This is all going back to the laptop over a single USB Type-C port. So again, it's really nice that that laptop has 3 USB-C ports. From that one USB-C port, we're getting a lot of connectivity here. The wireless receiver for my Xbox 360 controller. I have dongles for my wireless headset, as well as the mouse. There's also the USB-C cable that's going to my keyboard. And then we have 2 USB Type-C ports here, one of which is being used by this other USB-C hub. So I have a hub connected to a hub. Yes, it's ludicrous. This has a USB 3.0 card reader as well as 2 Type-A ports, one of which is being occupied by a Kensington fingerprint reader that I use for logging into Windows. The official driver for this device that I pulled off of the Kensington website did not work at all. I had to find a workaround on Reddit. Someone pointed me to a completely different driver for a completely different product, but that seemed to do the trick. Once I got it all set up though, it's been working flawlessly ever since. It just makes logging in super easy. I think I just accidentally tapped it and it logged in. And finger. Super quick, super accurate thing, it just works. It just works. When I mounted this hub here, I definitely had the fingerprint reader in mind first, but it's also really nice to have just an additional USB port if I ever want to connect something. Because again, I wanted this to be just like a desktop experience. And a desktop is generally on your desk, or at least if it's on the floor, which shame on you, first off, but usually the ports are more or less accessible from arm's length away from your chair. That wouldn't be the case here if it was just the laptop. If I had to plug in something, because there's no USB Type-A ports on either side, I would have to go behind here and plug it into one of the 3 ports on the back every single time, which would be really annoying after a while. So this really just increases the functionality and convenience of everything by having some front I/O, so to speak. So yeah, hella connectivity here, tons of functionality, so many devices connected, all to a laptop that, apart from the power adapter, only has 2 cables coming from it. And they're both USB-C, so they're both reversible, which means it's super easy to dock and undock this thing at a moment's notice. One final thing about cable management, in case you're wondering where I have the power strip connected to, it's actually running down the leg of this table and then boom into this cable channel that's plugged into an extension cable that is rated to handle this surge protector. They're both 18 gauge and all that. And then we have this nice cable channel that I installed all the way down, goes all the way back behind my bed, which is the nearest wall outlet, apart from this one that is squarely in the middle of my wall. Why? Like, I don't understand. Like, who built this house? I have some questions. I'm sure those of you who are more savvy with this type of thing know why someone would need to put outlets in the middle of a wall, but I have no idea. And I wasn't about to run cables from the middle of the wall going straight down. Even with the cable channel, I just don't want, you know, plastic popping out of the wall and stuff. So this works out very nicely. When you walk into the room and stuff, if you're not really looking for it, you almost don't even notice it. It just looks like part of the baseboard. But that is the setup. Plans, future plans for the setup. I know I just put it together, but I'm already thinking, you know, a setup is never done. A setup is never done. You're always iterating it, adding things, seeing how you can improve it. And I think the first thing I want to do is add RGB. Of course, you know, it's going to make this thing go faster. So definitely lighting behind the desk and behind the monitor. Maybe I'll even get some wall decor because my room is super plain. I have not decorated this room at all since moving into this house like 3 years ago. So I need to actually start dressing this up if I want it to feel a little bit more homey, a little more cozy. And while the monitor right now is perfect for this laptop, eventually new laptops will come out. I'll probably upgrade this to one that has a next generation RTX 4000 series GPU, which is hopefully going to be notably faster than the 3000 series. And in that case, I'll be able to probably push games, the games that I play, well over 100 hertz or 100 FPS. And in that case, I have my eye on another Pixio panel, the PX277 Pro, which has the same dimensions, same size and resolution as this display, except it's 1 millisecond response time as opposed to 3, 165 hertz, and it has a slightly wider color gamut. I think at 98% DCI-P3, if I remember correctly. And that would be a really nice upgrade because it also has that same USB Type-C port that I would be able to leverage with the laptop. So that's just an idea right now. Also, chair. My chair is pathetic. This chair is absolutely, I mean, it's fine for what it is. It's a $60, $70 chair that I got on Amazon. It's more like a stool. I mean, the thing's so basic. No armrests. It's not very ergonomic. It's not the type of chair you want to sit in for long gaming hours. I do like the fact that it's compact, it's small, tucks away nicely. If you guys have any recommendations for a comfortable ergonomic chair that isn't too big, it doesn't need to be like super tiny, but as long as it's not massive, one that maybe has like armrests that flip up, that might be kind of cool, so I can tuck under the desk nicely. That definitely needs to change. Apart from that though, this setup is finished, and I'm really, again, so happy with how it turned out. You guys let me know what you think, and if you have any other suggestions for me. That's gonna do it for this one, guys. Thank you for tuning in and making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please toss a like on it before you go, and get subscribed for more tech content coming really soon. On that note, I am probably going to spend the rest of my day cleaning my room, starting with kicking my cat off my bed. He is useless. All right, guys, have a good one. See you later.